More lunch breaks.
Welcome back, guys.
We're fancy today. We all got guac. We're rich.
We don't know if Chris did.
I did not get guac.
We're also really happy. I don't know if you guys know, but we started a Patreon page.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun getting to like see the fans and interact with them in a different way there.
A lot of great support, a lot of like great comments and feedback even. Like a wave of support or critical feedback.
Yeah.
But one of the exciting things is we're going to keep talking about it as if it's new, because it's going to be new to whoever hasn't joined us on Patreon yet. It's an ongoing thing.
It's funny you mention that because like it gives us an insight into like what our fans think about and want. So I actually been seeing this comment a lot, and actually we just responded to one last night, but it was a guy and he's like, "I'm so not your target audience, but I love what you guys are doing. Keep it up." And I responded, I'm like, wait, we don't have a target audience. You know, we just want to make good stuff for good people. And if you're here, you are our audience. Based on his profile picture, he was a non-Asian. He looked a little older.
I mean, he's pretty much pointing out that most people think that Wong Fu's target demographic is
Only Asian. Globally, Asians.
18 to 25 or
18 to
something.
25,
Or even
yeah.
younger.
Some people think like that it's like only girls too. A lot of our popular stuff's like romantic stuff, and guys can't appreciate a romantic story. I can understand why they would feel this way. If you look at our content,
I think I can say with confidence that we don't make it for a target audience, but I totally understand why this would resonate more with a certain type of audience, which is Asian American.
we're not sitting at our computers like, okay, how do we make something that's gonna college kids that are in this region and that are Asian are gonna love? Like, that's just who we are and our background and the stuff that we write that's personal to us and meaningful to us. And so obviously, yeah, it's gonna resonate with people that have similar backgrounds.
Because the whole thing was to just tell everyday stories, to convey that, oh, Asian Americans are just like any other American or stuff like that, and just tell their story.
When we first started, it definitely was not on our minds at all about the race of people that we're casting and who's going to consume it. Now we are definitely conscious of it just because we know that we do have an audience, and we also know how our community views us. We're not like catering and we're not pandering. We are definitely aware and understand the importance of the work that we do.
So on one hand, it's like, it's great to represent this community and to be a voice for this community. But part of me still feels sad that there are people that come to the door of Wong Fu, see what we make and say, oh, this isn't even for me.
Right.
They think that it's like, they're not supposed to be watching this content.
In America, at least, this here automatically in their mind means foreign. What you're saying about they come to the door or they get to the subscribe button or whatever.
Yeah,
like, wait, this isn't for me.
They might even see our like just channel name, Wong Fu, and then like they just don't click, right?
Yeah, that's our bad. It's a double-edged sword too, because on one hand, I feel bad that maybe non-Asian people will feel that way. And of course I want them to come in through the door and be like, no, this is for humans, this is for people. At the same time, I also don't feel like, why should we have to apologize or feel bad that we have a lot of Asians on our channel? I feel like there's people out there, maybe not even in terms of like a channel, but like in terms of groups of friends, that they'll be like, oh, why do you always hang out with Asian people? Or like, oh, like you always hang out with Asians. I'm like, what's wrong with that? You wouldn't say that to like anyone else.
I'm not feeling bad, like I feel guilty.
Yeah.
Their perception is that we're closing them out.
Right.
When like, well, I think we take pride of our culture and our
Right.
community. How do we change their perception to see that as an open door, not a closed door?
Right.
Yeah.
I think some people see it as like we're keeping ourselves in a bubble. We're actually just gravitating towards like-minded or similar backgrounds or similar interests and similar senses of humor. But it's not a wall. It's just like, oh, this is just what has naturally happened.
And we can't control that.
Right. And then, but if people have the same interest and have the same sense of humor, or they like what we're doing, yeah, it's an open door.
If I were so worried about that, I shouldn't be listening to any rap music. I shouldn't be enjoying anything that's not of a familiar face. Is that right? Like I get to the door of these other things and be like, oh, this wasn't for me.
Like, we shouldn't even be eating this.
Yeah, we shouldn't be eating this. If you just kind of like look at the perspective of other cultures and how people have taken those in and enjoyed aspects of those cultures, then why can't it be the same with Wong?
I want Wong Fu to get to the point where Mexican food has gotten to, where it's just like this mainstream food, or Italian food, where it's just like we made our way into every home.
It comes down to being normalized, right? And I think that's what is still lacking in our content or our place in society. I think like when you bring up like, let's say like hip hop or food, there's aspects where it's so big that it's mainstream, and the truth is that Asian Americans in media is just not mainstream at all. It's not even close, right? And that's where I go back to where Wong Fu being conscious of the content that we're making now, having Asian Americans in it. On one hand, it's like, yeah, we're not trying to say this is just for Asians, but it is also us having pride for, hey, we're trying to make stuff in the effort to become mainstream. If no one's making that content and we're always okay being a side character or a supporting role,
Or that nerd.
we're never going to even get the first step of mainstream. Force people to see something that they haven't seen before and then go, oh, I'm okay with this. You know, like it's not that weird. And I think that's where we're at right now.
It's also important to note that Wong Fu is just one piece of what we're trying to move forward. Our voice is specific for a purpose. Our tone and the language that we use in videos, we're very conscious of that because we have other people like Timothy De La Ghetto and JK that are representing another aspect of Asian Americans that are all true, but this one is just what we choose to do.
With the TV show Fresh Off the Boat. When it first came out, and even still now, people aren't supportive of it, or they're like, oh, like this doesn't represent me, I hate that show. The problem with that mentality is like, Asian people will see that show and be like, oh, like, yeah, this doesn't represent me, but like, it's the only one that we have right now, right? America is gonna see just this one show and think that all Asians are like that. And I understand that concern, but at the same time, if we can't even get one going, how are we gonna get two? If we can't get two, how are we gonna get, like, white people or black people, they have so many different types of shows and so many different representations of what it means to be of their culture and community. Like they can actually say, oh, I don't like that show because they have 10 other shows that represent them, you know? But for us, it's tough because we have one show.
We should embrace it.
I think we should
We should embrace it, even if there's certain things that you can't relate to it. It is a fairly honest portrayal of like the immigrant process.
Yeah. I think as long as the content's not like being malicious and like actually being ignorant, just like with YouTube, it's like I know there's people that even criticize Wong Fu. It's like, oh, like that's not my style. I'm like, but would you rather us not be doing this? You know, would you rather us not even have this facet of Asian American representation out there, right?
It's really easy to tear something apart based off the smallest things. If you look at what we're trying to accomplish, support is really still necessary. I would say you don't even have to like the show. You don't have to like the show, but understand it and understand that it's your support of it will be really, really helpful.
Yeah, or understand that it's a piece of a bigger puzzle. And right now, the problem is that we're trying to build this huge puzzle of equal representation, proper representation.
But we don't even have the
We don't have pieces.
Yeah.
You know how like, you build a puzzle, you all start with like
the outside, and then you work your way.
Yeah, you start with corners. We're like just building the corners right now. And some people are like, I don't want to play, and they're just like messing up all the pieces. Like, oh wait.
Puzzle's gonna look bad.
No, that one does. That's not an edge piece. That's not a corner piece. It doesn't deserve to be there.
Also, what's tough is that in this age where everything is shared social media and like you see the puzzles of other communities and you're like, man, I want our puzzle to already be that done or halfway there or whatever. I want to be making that piece, not the corner piece right now, right? It doesn't help to compare to other communities because the Asian American experience and our place in America and Western society is actually at a completely different route and trajectory and stage than Black or Hispanic or white people in terms of entertainment and media.
When I see those other puzzles too, it's inspiring to know that it's possible. Black Panther came out, right? And before Black Panther came out, I was concerned mainstream audiences won't see it because they think it's not made for them, kind of like Wong Fu's problem. Its global success really gave me hope. Everyone went to see this movie.
Yeah, everyone.
They didn't feel excluded. That's a place that Asian Americans can get to one day too.
I think any win of a person of color definitely does help everyone, and that's something that we as minorities should try to remember is that we all
Similar struggles.
Yeah, similar struggles, right? I'm definitely not saying it's all the same.
You can even argue that the movie Crazy Rich Asians, which is got the same things going for it as Black Panther. It's an all Asian cast, studio backed, wide distribution. It has the potential to have the same kind of success as Black Panther.
We should appreciate what other communities have done to kind of pave the way even for us, but that doesn't take the work off of ourselves too, because it's not like they're not going to make an Asian movie for us. We have to be the ones that rise up.
But there's also the gratifying thing about what we're doing at Wong Fu and being a part of this whole Asian American in entertainment is that we have a struggle and that we have obstacles to go over. I would feel less gratified with what I'm doing if, oh, I was just a part of a group of people who are already at the top, and then not have to like work without something else like peering down my shoulder.
We have like a mission.
Yeah.
For sure. I think actually technology is going to help us move faster. I think the fact that we even have YouTube and social media, it allows us to build an audience without relying on the studio system, whereas in the 60s and 70s, 80s, 90s, you still had all those gatekeepers. A company like Wong Fu would not have existed in the 80s, right? Or the 90s. So we're already moving faster, but I still think we're like years, maybe like decades away from like...
It'll be our kids. I think it'll be our kids.
Yeah. It's going to be our kids because of the work that we're doing. Yeah. Right?
I mean, think about it this way, like our parents got us here. Now it's our job to make sure our kids like it here.
Right.
I do think that the next generation, like after us, will really begin to see the effects that we're trying to make.
I definitely acknowledge that before us there was, you know, Jason Scott Lee and Joy Luck Club and Jackie Chan and Jet Li coming over and making Rush Hour and whatever. That still matters, but that's where I think that the technology really helps us. I think like we're able to have whatever Joy Luck Club did, you know, back in the 90s, or even Better Luck Tomorrow, like in the early 2000s, we can harness that, I think, better now, right? And that's what gives me hope, you know, for our future. But I do wish the Asians that were already in Hollywood, I wish there was more collaboration.
Sending the elevator down.
Yeah.
As long as we keep talking, you know, whether they're seasoned in Hollywood or not, because I think on that end, I've heard it's not that they don't care, it's more like, no, that's your guys' world. We don't understand it. You guys handle it, you know? It's very Asian in a way.
We need to work together more though. Like they're established, but we're the future. Or what we are creating and establishing here is the future. So it's like we should be working together more. And
the unifying thing is that we are trying to get people familiar with our faces so that they can want to hear our stories.
once they're open to hearing us, they'll want to hear more. Obviously, yeah, we cast Asian American leads, and there's people that leave comments that are like, oh, you guys are just pigeonholing yourself, like you guys need to break out and cast other people, not just Asians. And then if we cast a non-Asian lead, people will be like, oh my God, Wong Fu, you guys sold out. I thought you guys were here to represent us. It's like, honestly, it has to be like multiple trains going off at the same time. In terms of like us casting ourselves, I don't want to have to change that to get more people to watch. I think what the goal is to change the perception so that they're open to watching this. It's not weird to watch an Asian story.
And that kind of goes back to like why we even started Wong Fu Forward, our Patreon page. We know that we need to continue down this path and continue making content for this community, but also like to like open our content up to more voices within the community.
And I think once you open it up to more voices, and it might attract other people to just be curious of like what we're doing over here, right? I don't want to shame our Asian fans of being like, oh, we don't value the Asian. Like we need you guys first and foremost. Like you guys are going to be the main piece of how we all become more accepted. Even though we still have a long way to go, we know that where we're at is where a lot of people are trying to get to as well. And so we're trying to enable them so that there's more people on our level to keep fighting for it. That's a huge part of what we're trying to do.
That's definitely what we've been doing.
So if you're not Asian watching Wong Fu, thanks for coming in the door.
Thanks for coming through.
You're always invited.
At the end of the day, honestly, like we just want to tell stories that are honest to us and authentic to us. And we just happen to be Asian. Let us know actually if you like us talking about this stuff. Like reading the comments of people that support our Patreon, like a lot of them really do feel that the Asian American aspect and supporting Asian Americans was a huge motivation for them. So I'm assuming it's very important to our fans. So maybe you do want us to talk about it more. We'll do a part 2 another time. Or join our Patreon page, links below. We'll do the conversation on a live stream.
So hopefully you guys will join us on Wong Fu Forward, which is our Patreon page. And if you're not, we have merch that we design. So it all goes back to our productions and our team.
And keep sharing Wong Fu with anyone you want.
Thank you guys.
See you next Thursday.